Today we are going to be doing lesson 4, equivalent fractions. So let's read this paragraph. You have used models and number lines to find equivalent fractions. Multiplication can also be used to find equivalent fractions. Fractions that have the same numerator and denominator are equivalent to one whole. So if we remember from a previous lesson, if the number on top and the number on bottom are the same, that's equal to 1. So 3 over 3, 2 over 2, we can even do 1,000 over 1,000 is still going to equal 1. So let's look at example 1. A recipe for spaghetti and meatballs calls for 3/4 of a pound of ground beef. Find two fractions that are equivalent to 3/4. So one way is to use a model with our fraction tiles, and it shows us to model 3/4. So we have 1, 2, 3 over here, and place 6 8 tiles underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it tells us the 1/8 tiles are smaller than the 1/4 tiles, so there are more of them. And then we have the same with our 12s under here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 twelfths, because the 12s are smaller than the 8s, so there's more of them. Another way is we can multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, and we were already doing this in the last lesson, so this should be easy. So 3/4 times 2 over 2, so 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. And we can do the same thing over here for 12. 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. So two fractions that are equivalent to 3/4 and 6/8 and 9/12. So these all are equal. So let's go on to the second page. You can use multiplication to write a fraction with a denominator of 10 as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So Liliana has a container of dry beans. The table shows the fraction of each type of bean. What type of bean shows the fraction that is equivalent to 3 over 10 of the container? Each fraction in the table has a denominator of 100. Use multiplication to find which fraction is equivalent to 3 over 10. Well, first we have to put 3 over 10 to have the same denominator as all of these other ones. And they're showing us 10 times 10 equals 100. And 3 times 10, well, we just have to add that 0. So 3 times 10 is 30. So 30 over 100 is equal to the lima beans. On to guided practice. Write the fraction for the part that is shaded, then find an equivalent fraction. So first we have to see how many pieces we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So 4 goes on our denominator, and we filled in 1, 2. 2 is our numerator. Also, we can multiply each side by 2, and we can get 4 over 8. So these are equivalent fractions. We can also see that half of this shape is colored in. So we can say 1/2 is equivalent. Let's go on to number 2. So how many pieces do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 pieces, and 1 is colored in. And then if we multiply each side by 2, 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. We can also use our chart over here. If we go down 3 all the way down, we hit 2, 6 like we just figured out. And we can also keep going down and see that it's also equal to 3/9. So you can do it either way. On to page 3. Write a fraction for the part that is shaded, then find an equivalent fraction. So we're doing the same thing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and 5 are colored in. So we can say 5, 6 is equal to, so let's look over at our chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we go down, gotta go all the way down to our 12s, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 twelfths. We also see that that's equal because 5 times 2 equals 10, and 6 times 2 equals 12. So let's try number 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and 1, 2, 3 are colored in. So we have 3/5 is also equal to, well, let's multiply each side by 2 and we'll give it an equivalent fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10. So 6/10 is equal to 3/5. Let's go to number 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So 8's our denominator. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are colored in. So let's use our chart over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we go down, do any of these match up? Yep. We go all the way down to 16ths, but that's a whole lot to count up. So let's see. What times 8 equals 16? Well, it's going to be 2. So 5 times 2 is 10 over 16. And we could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but that would take a little bit longer. So let's go to number 6. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, but only 1 is colored in. If we multiply each one of these, let's not do 2 this time, let's do 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, 5 times 3 is 15. We could multiply this by any number. We could multiply this by 20. And we could get 20 over 100 is the same. Those are all equal. On to number 7. Circle the 2 fractions that are equivalent in the set of fractions. Okay, so let's start with 1/4. Look at our chart. 1/4, let's go down. Does it hit 2/6? Nope. Now does it hit 3/12? Yep, those are equal. So we can circle 1/4 and 3/12. Look at number 8. And we can use the trick they showed us on the front, where we just need to add a 0 to each side. So 2 with a 0 and a 0, well, that's equal here. So 20 over 10, or 20 over 100 and 20 and 2 over 10 are equal. Let's do number 9. So 3/5, 6/8, and 6/10. Well, what do we notice about these at first? So 6 and 6 with different numerators, so these can't be equal. So we know one of these has to be equal to this. So let's start with 3/5. 1, 2, 3. We go down, not quite 6/8, so it must be 6/10. Yep, so 3/5 and 6/10. And we can check ourselves because 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. On to number 10. We can use that 0 trick again. So let's see, if we add a 0 to the smallest one over here, 10 over 100, well, these two are equal. Number 11, 2/3, 5/6, and 8/12. Let's use our chart for this one. So 2/3, 1, 2. We go all the way down. Does that equal 5/6? Nope, that only equals 4/6. So let's check. I think it's going to be the 12, but we got to check. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So 2/3 and 8/12 are equivalent. And we can use the same 0 trick over here too. So 6 and 4, those aren't equal. So we know it can't be this one, but we can check this by adding a 0 to each side. So these two are equal. Let's go on to number 13. It's asking us to find the unknown. So we have to find out, what did we do to the 4 to get to the 8? Well, we just multiplied it by 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 times 1 is 2, and we can check 1/4 is equal to 2/8. Number 14 has that 0 trick again, so all we did was add 0 to this side, so we add a 0 here, and it's going to be 70. On to 15. So 3/5 and 6 whats? Well, 1, 2, 3/5. We go down, nothing yet. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/10. There we go. All right, on to page 4. Female deer called does usually have 1 to 3 young at a time. Young deer are called fawns. The male deer, called bucks, grow antlers in the spring. Suppose 10 deer are traveling together. If 4 of them are does and 3 are fawns, what fraction represents the number of bucks? Write another equivalent fraction that represents this number. So, if we have 4 are does and 3 are fawns, so 10 minus 4 minus 3 will give us the number of bucks. So 10 minus 4 is 6, 6 minus 3 is 3. So that's going to be 3/10. Write another equivalent fraction that represents this number. Well, we can just use our 0 trick where we multiply each side by 10. So 30/100 is an equal fraction. Number 17. A roller coaster has 10 cars. 7 of the cars are green. Write 2 equivalent fractions for the part of the cars that is green. Okay, so 7/10 are green. Well, let's use this same 0 trick. So multiply by 10 on each side. We can say 70/100 are green. We can also use a smaller number. We can have 7 times 10 and multiply each side by 2, so we get 14/20. All 3 of these numbers are equivalent. They all equal the same thing. On to number 18. Javier has 4 juice boxes. 3 are grape flavored. Write 2 equivalent fractions that describe the part of the juice boxes that is grape. Draw a model for each fraction to show that they are equivalent. Okay, so he has 4 juice boxes, so that's going to be on the bottom, and 3 are grape. So one of our fractions is 3/4. Well, if we multiply each side by 2, then we can get 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. So this is one equivalent fraction. And if we multiply each side by 3, so 3/4 times 3/3, well, 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. So those are the same. And I'll leave it to you to model them with your fraction tiles. Okay, use number sense. Identify 2 fractions that are equivalent to 25/100. Well, let's see. If we had 100 pennies, how many pennies do we have? What is that worth? It's worth $1. And what is 1/4 of $1? It's in the name, it's a quarter. So we know that 1/4 of $1 is equal to 25/100. So often when you see 100 at the bottom, think money. Think pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters, and that'll help you. So now we know that one of our fractions is 1/4, and we can use our multiplication on this, which is a much smaller number than 25/100. So 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8. So these are 2 equivalent fractions. Okay. And number 20, describe 2 methods you can use to check if 2 fractions are equivalent. Well, we've just done a bunch of them up here. We can use our model or our chart over here. We can use fraction tiles, or we can use multiplication. We can use all sorts of different things. So on to our homework. So the example they're showing up here is how we can find 4/8 is equivalent to 8/16 and 12/24. So let's go on to number 1. Write the fraction for each part that is shaded, then find an equivalent fraction. So there are 4 pieces and 1 is colored in, so that's our 1 fraction. And we can also, if we divide each one of these in half, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, 2 are colored in. So 2/8 is equivalent. That's another way of doing this. So let's go on to number 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. Then 2 are colored in, so our first fraction is 2/6. If we just divide this in half, we have double the number of pieces, so we have 12, and 4 are colored in. So 4/12 and 2/6 are equivalent fractions. On to the last page. Write a fraction for the part that is shaded, then find an equivalent fraction. So we have 4 pieces, 3 are shaded in. So then we can also, if we multiply each side of this by 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. So 3/4 and 6/8 are equal. Then on to number 4. So how many pieces do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 6 of them are colored in, so 6/8. Let's use our chart for this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, if we line that up, that's also equal to 3/4. We also know that because if we divide each side by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. On to number 5. Find an equivalent fraction for each fraction. So 20 and 10, well, all we have to do is take away a 0 from each side. So 2/10 is equal to 20/100. For 2/8, well, what if we divide each side by 2? So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. We can check that over here. 2/8 equals 1/4. Number 7, same, real easy. We just got to take away a 0. So 9/10 is equal to 90/100. Number 8, find each unknown. So we need to find what 6/12 is equal to with a denominator of 2. So if we take our 12 and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we go up all the way to 2, that's going to be 1/2. And we probably could have guessed that because we know 2 halves would equal 1, and 6/12 doesn't equal 1. So 3/10 equals what over 100? Well, we just add a 0, just use that 0 trick, x equals 30. 5/8 equals 10 over what? Well, the difference between 5 and 10, we multiply by 2. So if 5 times 2 is 10, 8 times 2 equals 16. And we can check that over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10/16 is also equal to 5/8. Let's go on to the brain builders. Use number sense. Janie has 12 pieces of fruit. 8 of the pieces of fruit are bananas. Write 3 fractions that describe the fruit that is bananas. So, should they already tell us that 8/12 is bananas? We can also use our chart over here to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We go up. That's also equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/9, which is also equal to 3/4. Number 12. A box contains 4 red pencils and 6 black pencils. What fraction of the pencils is red? What fraction of the pencils is black? Draw a model that shows the fraction of each color pencil. So I'm going to draw a box over here. And we know that there are 4 red pencils and 6 black pencils. So 4 plus 6 is 10. So I need to have 10 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need 4 red pencils. I'm going to color 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 6 black pencils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's our model. And we can also see that 4 over 10 are red and 6 over 10 are black. Test practice. Laura delivers newspapers. She spends 4/12 of her savings on a new CD. Which equivalent fraction shows the amount Laura spent? Well, we can either use our chart over here or we can do some math. So I am going to show you with some math. So 4 over 12, well, I don't think it's going to be 9 or it's going to be 8. So I'm going to try with 3 first. So if we divide each side by 3, well, we can't do that. So we got to try something different. What if we divide each side by 2? Well, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. That's not any of our answers. So let's try by 4. Let's divide 4 over 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Is that one of our answers? Yep. And we can also test that by going 1, 2, 3, 4 on our chart and going all the way up and seeing that it equals 1/3. And that is the end of lesson 4.